time to hit it full of six string. Acoustic guitar play, mimicking someone jamming to the radio. Classic progressions, MG, with intricate picking pattern. Over strings ringing out. In the shack, no fancy screens. Twist a knob, hit the mic, live your dreams. Cheaper to buy, easy to fix at home. Build your own circuits, never alone. Every radio talks to the next in line. Universal language, timeless design. Analog forever, crank it up. More repeaters waiting under the sky. No proprietary chains holding you down. Free as the ether all over town. Analog forever in emergency night. When the power is low, we still get it right. Hear that graceful fade, not a sudden drop dead. Analog breeze, digital's just code in your head. Homebrew antennas, soldering late. Classic nets call, never too late. The hobby's roots in the glow of the tune. Hands-on tradition, we never will lose. When the grid goes dark and the world feels the strain, analog whispers, we're talking again. Analog forever, let the signal soar. Traditional hell, like the days of yore. Warmer and truer, no artifacts here. Rock and roll radio, crystal clear. Analog forever, we're keeping it real. Turn up the volume, feel what we feel. Analog forever, forever, forever. Keep the flame burning. 73 over.
All right, everybody, this is the Sights and Sounds of Earth. This is the special Christmas Day edition live from Starship Studios here in Southwest Florida. My name's Ian, and tonight's show on Christmas Day. Yes, we do them all the time here, even on holidays. So there you go. There's not a lot going on, but hey, you didn't tune in tonight for breaking news, right? But we're going to keep an eye out for it. We do have, believe it or not, a tornado warning out there right now out in California. And so we're going to be taking a look right out there right now. Switch screens. There we go. And there it is. There's your tornado warning blinking in pink there. There was also a couple of other warnings further up. Let's see. I think those have been allowed to expire. Yeah. So we do have some pretty bad weather coming in here. Everything north of Salinas. It looks like even some weather all the way down even further. But let's just say Salinas and Santa Cruz, and then this severe cell here is come on shore and is heading to Palo Alto or the Mountain View area. Redwood City, you are down the pipe for this one. And then of course there's some other ones about to come in. Daly City, San Bruno, San Mateo. You're probably watching it coming in right now off the coast. We haven't had a severe thunderstorm warning in weeks. It's been quite the dry spell. This happens in the winter sometimes. We have about a 6-week oscillation that we really notice more in the winter than the summer, where I told you guys, remember Halloween? We had that big cold spell, and the kids went out trick-or-treating. It was cool. Remember that? And remember we had even a cold front come all the way down to South Florida on the first week in October, which is, I'm not going to say unprecedented, but it's pretty rare. And I told you guys then that we were going to have a warm Christmas. Well, it's happening for a lot of us anyway. Now, people in the Northeast, you're going to get a cold Christmas almost no matter what. But for the rest of us in the Southeast especially, and in the South Central and Texas, we're actually seeing a warm Christmas. Why? Well, because we're in that oscillation. In another week or two, we will see it transition back over to a much colder cycle. I am going to be going to my cabin coming up looks like we're going the third week in January. So there will be a weird week there where I'll be broadcasting when I can, where I can, and instead of exactly at 9 o'clock every night like I do when I'm here. But I will get on as much as I can from up there at the cabin. I'm also going to be publishing some more videos. I published 3 or 4 or 5 videos here in the last week. And I've got a busy weekend coming up, but next week, once I get things to calm down next week, I have at least one more that I'm going to make up and publish. So I'm trying to get not only live content out, but I'm also trying to get more edited content. A lot of people prefer one or the other, and so I don't want to lose people. All right, so the the tornado watch was just allowed to expire. So there we go. No more warnings now, just watches. And so the situation there has calmed down just a little bit since we took to air. All right, let's see if I can get the chat room to come up so I can see who has come in tonight. I know it's Christmas night. I don't expect big numbers. And I'm having this bandwidth fall off issue again. I hate to do it, but what I did the last time this started happening was I bought a new hard drive and I installed Windows on a brand new hard drive, and it quit doing it for almost a year now, and now it's starting to do it again. I think it just gets kind of polluted up. Let's see who we got in there. We got Heath. Oh, the Simplex Forever song, Heath, you like that one? Yeah, I like it too. I'm gonna have some other ones like that, where it's they're kind of rebel songs in a way. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. They're kind of rebel songs. Analog forever, man. But I may also have a song about digital and about how cool digital is too. So there's going to be some different opinions in the songs, just like you would hear on a regular radio station. I'm going to do a few patriotic songs, but no political ones. I'm not going to have any songs that mention presidents' names or anything like that because I don't want this to be divisive in any way. I want it to be something. I'm also not allowing the thing to put cuss words in. I tell it, it's in the prompt. I don't want any of the 7 dirty words in there. So, what I'm putting out, there is 1 or 2 in there that have a few S bombs in them or something, but I will eventually weed those out. The 5 ARRL songs that I've made that are in there, they're all going to come back out. I'm making better ones that are a little more subtle and a little less brash. That I think will work better on the channel. I'm thinking now overall for the channel's sake. I'm going to put a bunch. I've got FT8. I've got the Hurricane WatchNet already done. I got the 7.2. I think I got 2 different songs on the 7.2. And I've got a bunch of different songs already made up. Like I said, the Hurricane WatchNet, FT8, POTA. The POTA songs came out really good. So I don't know. I think this is a winner. Even if I take out those 4 or 5 songs I want to take out, I still have 40 songs. So I'm doing pretty good. It sits there and plays for 3 or 4 hours before it starts repeating. So I'm going to be adding more and more songs each day. I'm going to add songs. I went ahead and paid for the paid account on Suno, and I'm making these with the license and everything, and I'm making it all. I'm doing it all legit. Junior, I'm gonna say something a little ignorant, but I like the music. I actually think it's good music, and some of those songs are really catchy. Because I think I told you guys what I've been doing. I go in and tell Grok to write me a description so that AI will make a song that sounds almost exactly like Pink Floyd Wish You Were Here. And then it writes it. It even puts the note patterns and stuff, and it gives me all of the data in a format that Suno will understand. And I stick it in there. And then I go into Grok and I start working on the lyrics, and I'll have it produce the lyrics. I'll type maybe a paragraph of what lyrics I want. I want lyrics that are upbeat, positive, encouraging. I want it to be to try to entice people to want to learn more about ham radio. I'm very frank with the AI. I tell it exactly what I want, and then once it makes it, then I go through it and I make sure that it doesn't. There was one where there was a verse that didn't make any sense, but I was able to rework it, and get it to where it sounded good. So. Yeah, and Junior, the screens are going to get better. I just haven't had a chance to work on it yet. I'm going to make it for the continental U.S. There won't be anything just for Florida anymore. I'm going to have a few more things. I'm trying to get things on there that I'm having a hard time getting on there, like PSK Reporter and stuff like that. But I'm hoping to get the VHF propagation map on there. So, because that to me is the most important one, because I love to talk VHF sideband on 144 on 144 .0. I love that one, and so I'm always looking for those openings. All right, yeah, there's a lot of folks in here. That's good. I didn't know we'd get quite this many on Christmas, but hey, it's working out all right. Oh, well, all is well here. I went and saw Mom a little while ago. She is so happy to be home. She is so happy to be home. 100 and 123 days of rehab, and she's home, and she's doing good. I got to tell you, my hat's off to these people. It's one thing to go into a nursing home in a vegetative state, and they clean the shit out of your ass twice a day. That's one thing. But these places we put her in were rehab facilities. They were also nursing homes, but they were rehab facilities. And the places were so amazing. The what do they call them? The therapists, the people that work with them. The nurses are good, the helpers are good, the front desk people are cool, the administrators have been very nice. It's all great. We have no real complaints about the place at all. However, it's always those people that work with them specifically, the therapists that do the therapy. They're the shining light of every place. We've been to 3 different places, and everywhere we go, they're just the absolute best of the place. And they are just ambassadors for their place. They treat people so well. They make you feel good. The first time I walked in there and Mom wasn't in her room, I went and looked for her down. I knew where she was. I went down to therapy. It's right at the end of the hall. I get down there and they invite me in and pull over a chair and sit me next to Mom. And I sit there and talk to her while she's doing all her exercises. And it became a thing where I would just get there a little early. I'd go in and hang out with her in therapy. It was kind of cool. And they like that. People don't get near as many visitors in the nursing home as you would think. Even within my own family, I was very surprised how little a lot of people actually go to see somebody that's in a nursing home. When someone's in a nursing home, it means seeing somebody means everything to them. It means absolutely everything to them because they're just sitting there. They're either waiting to die or they're waiting to rehab and get out and go home. But either way, they're waiting. And it's boring, it's horrible. And there was people in there that never had anyone come see them. They had no family in town. They had no relatives. They had no... And I just think how terrible that is. How just absolutely terrible it is that these people have nobody to look forward to. My mom has a lot of family, and everybody was getting up there about once a week. And I was getting in about 3 times a week. And so she was seeing someone just about every day. That's true, neighbor. It's terrible. Now, we kind of thought right from the start, we didn't know whether she was going to have to stay there or not, or what. But it became obvious pretty quick that she's rehabbing up good and she wants to go home. So that became the goal, and it happened. So. Yeah, it does help when the therapist is really nice and you got a good vibe, because they would kid my mom. They would like joke with her pretty hard. They're like, "Come on, don't pussy out," and stuff like that. I mean, they were actually like a little rough on her sometimes, telling her, "No, you're not. No, stand back up. You ain't done." Stuff like that. And I like that. Humans need a little push. And yeah, it's so amazing that the care that she got in this place. I just wish more. When I would go there, I would never see loved ones in any of the rooms. I'd never see. I don't know. And I was there every other day. And the moment that she was good enough to load in the car, I would load her in the car and we'd go drive around for 3 hours just so she wasn't in that place. I'd go walk her through the mall or go take her to a restaurant. We'd eat lunch. She loves Perkins. That's her place. Yeah, neighbor, I'm kind of surprised about that. I don't know. I'm pretty tight with my mom, and my family did okay, but it still kind of surprised me. I thought people would go see her more. Yes, it is Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. There's still a little bit of it left here, and you're celebrating it with us. And I respect that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, my mom and we're like best friends. We've always been. I mean, it's one of them things. I've been good friends with my mom the whole time. My dad and I got along. We did okay. We were friends, you know. He was my dad. But my mom and I have been tight. We've always been tight, the two of us. I was her firstborn. There's something about that. I don't know what it is. Yeah, the most important things when it comes to the home is the hope to get out. We never walked in that place and said something like, well, you know, this is the new reality or something like that. It was always, this is temporary, you're going home. That was always the goal. And that was it from right from the start. This is the reality, you're going home. Life sucks, but we're going to live through it. And sure enough, she worked her ass off, dude. For my mom, I mean, she worked her ass off. And even at home tonight, she was working her arms and doing her stuff. Home health care starts tomorrow. She'll have home therapy for a while. And then if we want to continue it long term, we can do that too by taking her to a place right down the street. But she'll get in home for a while. Um, yeah, I will say the whole busy thing bugs me because I do it too. Everybody does it. Oh man, I got busy. I didn't get by. Oh, it's I just do it. I've been busy. The truth is, I don't call people back. I'm not social. That's the bottom line. I'm not social. I've got people's numbers. That doesn't mean I talk on the phone. I am just not really that social of a person like that. If we have a project we're working on together, I'll spend 2 hours with you on the phone. We'll work on the project. We'll get on Zoom together. But the truth is, the bottom line, I'm not a phone talker. I'm not a social person like that. I really, not much on that. So, yeah. So I just when people start with that, oh, I was just too busy. No, you can make the time to do anything that you need or want to do. That's the bottom line. All right. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. Well, I played my game for 2 hours the other day. So I must not have been too busy. I mean, that's the thing. If you look at people, there's very few people that I know that are literally that busy. Like Trey, the guy, the host of my regular show, he's like this. He sleeps and he's busy. Those are his two modes. And even when he's with his kids, he's doing stuff. He's sending mails. He runs a consulting business. He's a talk radio show host, number one show in the whole area. And so he's a busy guy. And he really is busy. When he's not acting busy, he's not putting me off. He's busy. He really is. But he's one of the few people I know that truly actually does get busy. I know that's crazy, but that's the way I see it. Most people are just, they don't want to put you in the equation. It's not that they're too busy for you. Yeah, Carlotta's got a good point. I don't really want to get into it too deeply tonight, but her and I have a pet peeve, and it's the same one, and I'll tell you which one it is. It's the one where, let me turn Sarnet down. If I hear one more person say Merry Christmas, I'm going to puke in my mouth. Um, the one that gets me is you've got that relative. I've got one. She had one. You probably got one. One relative that you don't see. They don't come for Thanksgiving. They don't come for Christmas. They don't talk much. They don't talk to you at all. They're just a real piece of shit. And they couldn't be bothered helping the older person, the mother, the grandmother, whatever. They couldn't go see her in the nursing home. They couldn't bother going to see her in the hospital. They never showed up at her house. They never mowed her grass. They never bought her anything. And then the day she dies, they become indignant fools. I can't live without her. Oh, how am I going to live without her? Boo! What it is it's the guilt from not doing anything with them all those years. It's the guilt of avoiding them because you just couldn't stand to be with them. It's the guilt of not doing what you should have done all those years coming back to haunt you. And now that they're dead, and Carl will agree with me on this. Come on, Carl, you'll agree with me. When they're dead and they're laying there dead, you can't fix it now. Not that you could totally fix it before, but I'm just saying, once they're dead, it becomes a lot harder to fix it. Now it's a like next life sort of thing. It's a little bit more of a bitch to get that one done. And so now you're just an indignant fool. You can't live with yourself. The truth is, how could you miss somebody that you never saw anyway? You have to, it's like, you can't like be upset about someone not being there if you were never around them anyway. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. You know, like Data said, I've become accustomed to your sensory input. Once you hang out with somebody, you love them. You've been with them for a long time. You care about them, and I don't mean love. I mean family love. You know, love of a friend, love of a family, love of a girlfriend, whatever. When you have a love with somebody, there's a connection there. At least there's supposed to be. But if there's no love at all, then you just don't ever go see him. You don't bother going and see him. You don't ever nothing. And then when they finally die, they're laying there, the lump of flesh in the box. And they come up there, and what do, Carr? They come up there, and they act like an indignant asshole, crying all over the corpse, putting smear marks all over that casket that you paid for because she didn't. All right, this is too fun for Christmas. We shouldn't be talking about this shit right now. Yeah. Well, look, if someone leaves you money, it's because you did something in their life and they want to leave you what they had. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you maneuver something to get the money, or you lie, cheat, and steal, or misrepresent to get a bigger share, that's all scummy shit. But if I died and I left my loved one, 20 grand worth of silver, because that's, if I had that sitting there, I could say, okay, I'm giving this to this person because I want them to increase their life. I want them to make their life better with this. That's different. I want you to have this because I want your life to become better because of me. I want a legacy. So it's only icky when it's not the exact wishes of the dying or the dead. That's when it becomes icky. If someone wants you to have the money as a legacy, you accept that money gracefully, and you do good with that money. You do no harm with that money. I don't do eggnog, Victor. I don't. It's weird. And if I do have a small glass of it, I won't drink it for 2 years. I don't hate it. There's just something about it. I start disliking it after a while. I would never buy it myself because I could never get through even the smallest of cartons. So no, not really an eggnog person. And to me, the thought of liquor mixed with eggnog is like literally like one of the more disgusting things I could think about doing. Yeah, it is gross. But it's not. I'll drink it. Like if we came in and we were sitting down, and we were going to sit and have a nice evening together, and you said, hey, I got some eggnog, and there's no alcohol in it, because I've tasted it with alcohol, and it makes it really weird. But anyway, if it had no alcohol in it, I'd have one. I would. But I wouldn't. That would do me for the year, man. It's kind of like turkey. I eat the shit out of it for about 36 hours. And then I won't touch turkey again for the next whole year. It's sweet. It's thick. Some people like it that way. Yeah. Well, and I also believe in only leaving money and leaving things to people that deserve to be left something. I don't have rose-colored glasses. It's another thing Carlotta kind of over the years has kind of impressed upon me that you shouldn't. I mentioned this I think last night. If you're an asshole and you die, you're now a dead asshole. I don't have rose-colored glasses like a lot of people do. The people are like, oh, did you hear Fred died? Oh, Fred, isn't he that asshole? Da 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 da. Because I don't care. A lot of these people like they'll hate somebody. Ah, I would suffocate that asshole if I get away with it. Really? And then 3 days later, Bob died. Bob's dead. Oh my God, he was such a good soul. He was such a great guy. Help me out. He's such a good guy at work. Yeah, poor Bob. It's gonna be missed. And I'm like, you wanted to suffocate him to death 3 days ago, you piece of crap. You disingenuous piece of crap. Take off the rose-colored glasses, call it like it is, and move on. Anyway, you like thick nog? Yeah, one glass is good. Two glasses, and I don't even want that second glass. Eggnog ice cream might be good. I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, we all get to die once. Some of us get to do it twice. Um, well, I'm not sure how much of the funeral is for the dead, but I know that basically it's for the living. The funeral is a way to say goodbye. Now, whether that person gets the message directly or not, it's that the fact that the energy was there is good energy. People gathered together in that person's memory. That's positive energy. There's no way around it. I think we take things way too literal. Like, what did he say? What did he do? Where did you have the funeral? Was his casket pretty? Nobody cares about that. What matters is that we got together to honor him. We got together to say, look, this person has passed away, and he was a good person, and here's my memory of him. Here's my memory of him. And yes, it probably is mostly for us, but the energy does work on negative and positive energy. And so I can't believe that if 1,000 people show up with nothing but positive wishes for somebody and shows up with love in their heart and I can't believe that that's not a net positive for everyone involved, even the dead. So baby Jesus gets 2 birthdays. Yeah, I normally like things really sweet, but that eggnog is just too much. It's just eggs and milk and sugar. I mean, I think that's really what it is, isn't it? Shit, I don't even know what's in it. I never even really thought about it that much. I probably didn't want to. Okay, well, here we go. I do want to thank everybody for being here. I'm going to roll a commercial here in about 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm going to roll a 6 minute song, play the commercial, and come right back. Okay, I just want to let everybody know that when it happens, when I roll that commercial, when I put the music on and hit the commercial button, the audience literally drops to half what it was. But a lot of them do come back. I think some of them are going to check something out real quick and coming back. Um, oh, and vanilla. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Would that be a rebirth day? I think that's a rebirth day. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'll tell you guys a funny story if you don't tell anybody. I was at the sheriff's part one day and I was working a traffic detail with two other guys, and it was the at the big Church of the Resurrection in down in South Fort Myers. And I'd been a cop for a couple of years. I was okay. I was good with the radio, but not great. One of those kind of things. And I get out there, and it's time to check in, and I wrote the other guy's numbers down on my hand because I didn't have their numbers memorized. I get a little dyslexic, so I'm looking at their numbers. I'm concentrating on what I'm about to say. The time comes. There's a lull in the activity on the radio. I pick up the mic. 852 Lee County. 852. Yeah, I'll be 10-6, signal 15, along with LE 835 and LE 837. Church of the Erection, Summerlin Boulevard and San Carlos. Will be 1087 in about 3 hours. 10-4. And there's this long silence. I didn't even realize I said it. I said Church of the Erection on the radio. They heckled me the rest of the day. They drove by there yelling "erection" on the microphone and shit. Oh, it was hilarious. Yeah, I knew after that I was going to hell. So it took me a while to earn that one back. Yeah. It's important how you say resurrection. It's a little different than an erection. They're both arising, but very different still yet. Anyway, oh, you want me to tell that story tonight? Oh, freak. Okay, so it ends up a school that Carlotta's grandchild ended up going to school at later. But I'm working one night with a cop named Jim, and we come pulling in. We got a call of something. I forget what the exact call was. It was at the Christian school. So we pull up the church, big church, stage, school, the whole thing. We pull up and there's a broken window. I got a broken window. Zone 5, Lee County, give us 1033 traffic. I've got an open window. Send us 2 more units. We're going to be doing a building search. So we both crawl in the window, right? Because we want to catch this sumbitch. They broke into a church. They're mine, right? And so we go in, and Jim goes left, which is towards the front of the building. I go right, which is towards the back of the building, backstage, and things in the back. Anyway, I'm going room to room. I come around, I'm looking under desks, I'm looking everywhere. I don't hear anything, I don't see anything. And I come around the corner into this prop room in the back. It was like about the size of this studio, 14 by 12 room maybe. And I come around that corner into that room, and there's a guy standing there just like this. And I'm like, "Get on the ground, MFer, get on the ground." I'm screaming is like in this panicked voice. It must have sounded crazy because this guy was on top of me. I turned around and I'm like up like this with the gun on him, right? And I'm screaming, "Get on the ground, get on the ground, get on the ground." It was Jesus. He was hanging on a cross back there. It was one of the props that they had back in the prop room. And I almost shot him. That was definitely a trip to hell right there. So I've had a few close calls, but luckily nobody got harmed in the making of it. Anyway, when my partner come running back there with his gun out, he come running back there. "Where's he at? Where's he at? Where's he at?" And he looks up and he sees the Jesus, and he sees me sitting on a bucket laughing. When he comes in the room, I'm sitting on a bucket laughing with my gun still in my hand. And he's like, "Oh my God, dude, what happened?" I said, "I almost shot the Lord. That's what happened." I said, "Don't you see what just happened?" I come walking in here, turned around. He was on me like flies on a turd. I about shot him right in the face. I said, "I didn't know what to do." He goes, "How did you not shoot him?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know. I by all rights, I should have capped his ass, But anyway, I know no body cams back then. That would have been a good one for YouTube. That would have been. I could have made money on that one, boy. Let me tell you today. It would have been fun to explain to the church, but they would have understood, I'm sure. Anyway, the guy was long gone. And we worked it as a burglary, and I don't even remember how it came out. I don't know if they found the guys or if they got any money or anything. But it was over with. They were long gone. And I think they probably ran out when we pulled up. They gave me a hard time, but it was all in good fun. During that time, I was with a great bunch of guys in North Fort Myers. The cops were all just really good guys. And they, yeah, we had a lot of fun with it. Trust me. I got a sergeant laughing so hard in the car one night he ran off the road into a ditch. We had to push the car out. Luckily, it didn't damage it. Yeah, he's sitting there and he's all confused, looking at like he don't know what's going on the radio or something. And I said, "Junior, give me that talker." And he started laughing so hard. I used to love working at the sheriff's department because as an auxiliaryman, there was about 5 or 10 different things I could do. I could go out and work with different divisions. I could get checked out to work Marine or aviation or even canine if I trained with the dog. I had to train with the handler and his dog in order to ride with him. Or there was a lot of things you could do on your own. You could go check out a car and go do it on your own. I like to work with other guys. I like to go in and make a 2-man unit because when you would go in and work, a 2-man unit always got the hot calls. See, normally they come on, they go, Lee County to Zone 3 outfitted back. We've got a 22 domestic. When we were a 2-man unit, they would come on and say, Lee County to Zone 4, 2-man unit, 65 signal 22. And it was like, we were the only car dispatched because we were a 2-man unit. We lit it up and we went and we took care of everything. Meanwhile, the 1-man units were getting all the paperwork calls. They didn't give us any paperwork calls because we were a 2-man unit. And they weren't going to tie their 2-man unit up with a 3-hour burglary. So they would give the other deputy the burglary and then send us to back. And then we would be the 2-man backup that would come as the second and third person. And then we would stay available. They were very picky about that. So the guys would love when I would come work with them because they never usually had a 2-man unit. And as a 2-man unit, they didn't get paperwork calls. They only got actual hot calls, as they called them. Yeah. Look, people don't realize it. All the shows you watch, for the most part, all the cop shows that you watch on TV, it's all fantasy land. It's all bullshit. My cats watch Hunter all the time. They love Hunter. But I keep telling them, be careful with Hunter because they shoot at every car that's driving away. Do you know how many cars you're allowed to shoot at that are driving away? And that's the list. Yeah, you're never allowed to shoot at a fleeing car. I don't care if the guy that just killed the sheriff is in it. You're not allowed to shoot the back of a fleeing car. It's just the way it works. Now, if you're shooting at it as it goes by, that's different. We can look at timing and all that other stuff. But when it's driving away and you pull out your gun and you just start putting lead in the back window of the car, that's against the law. It's actually a crime. You're not allowed to do that. Not even if they're... Now, if the car turns around and starts coming back towards you, light it up. Sure. Deadly weapon is coming right at you. But as long as it's moving away from you, you can't shoot it. So there's little things like that. Yeah. And the thing with Hunter that always got me was he would shoot some guy dead, check his pulse, look up at McCall and say, he's dead, works for me. And then he turns around and he goes down to his car and he says, yeah, there's a DB that I just shot up on the 3rd floor of this building. We'll be 10-8. We're chasing this guy. And they get in the car and take off. It's like, you just shot a guy. It's a crime scene. You're off duty. Give us your gun. It's going to take a month to sort this out. It's like, it don't work in real life. When a cop shoots somebody, they're off duty for 2 months. It has to be checked thoroughly from every angle, and then they get their gun back and everything's fine. But they're going to go on light duty. They're going to go on desk duty. They're going to do something because they do have to thoroughly make sure it was a good shoot. And that's the other thing in that show. He would shoot 2 or 3 people in an episode, and then literally that next morning they would all show up for work, and he'd come in and sit down at his desk. How's it going this morning? Oh, it's going good. Killed 3 people yesterday. Everything's good this morning. And it's so like not like that in real law enforcement. You know, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Yeah, there was. I had some near misses when I was a cop. I had a couple near misses when I was a firefighter too. I mean, everybody does. Luckily, most of the time, your equipment and your partners get you out of those situations. I almost shot a guy one night. It was not. It sucked. I didn't want to kill him. Luckily, at the end, he didn't want me to kill him either. We got a call at the AmVets right up the road here, literally 1 mile from my house. We got a call at the AmVets for shots fired in the area. Somebody saw somebody dart behind the building. So we go up there, code 2. We shut it all down coming in. We come rolling up, and we pull up out front, blacked out. And a third, I was with Jim, Mike, another cop pulled up next to us. And, well, actually, we got out and went and talked to the people, walked around the building, didn't see nothing, couldn't find nothing, got back in our car to leave. And Mike come pulling in, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat of the zone car, and Mike comes pulling in like this. So we're sitting just like this, talking. And I'm on the computer putting in the whatever the status was on the call. I was literally clearing the call. And we hear pop, ping, pop, pop, ting, ting, pop, pop, ting. I'm like, Jesus, he's shooting at us. And Mike pulled his car back real fast so that him and I could both get out of the car because he was right next to it. We both dove out of the car, and all 3 of us are laying down basically under the car, you know, trying to see what's going on. And we don't see anybody. We can't see anybody anywhere. And so we hear behind, what sounds like behind the bar. We hear pop, pop, pop. And he's like, he's back there. He's back there. Jim goes, you guys go that way. I'm going this way. So we go around behind the bar. Now, behind the bar, there's a couple of old houses back there. I come around behind the bar. There's a big orange light on the back of the bar, lighting up those houses and the guy standing in the front yard. As soon as I see him, I realize he's got something shiny in his right hand. So I immediately put my flashlight on him, and I get up with a tree, some hard cover. It was a tree about this big. I get up next to that tree, and I start yelling at him, put it down, doing the traditional cussing and swearing and yelling that cops are supposed to do. And I kept yelling, put it down. Well, at the same time, my partner and also Mike, this other cop, they start yelling. So now he's got 3 people that have got their guns out, their flashlights out, and they're looking at him. Now, I didn't need the flashlight. So one of the first decisions I made was to lose the flashlight, because if he brings that gun up, he will see exactly where to shoot me because I'm shooting my flashlight at him. So I decided, I literally had my flashlight. I dropped it. It was still on. I dropped it right on the ground, and I took like this, and I started screaming, drop it or I'm going to fire. And I'm holding him, and I'm looking, and I see my front sight, and I've got him silhouetted in my front sight, and he brings the gun up like this in one hand. He brings it up, and he starts to scan like this. And I look over, and my partner's behind a palmetto bush, no cover. He's under what they call soft cover, meaning that he's obscured, but the cover will not stop bullets. Mike and I are both behind pine trees. So I decide I got to scream louder or something. So I start screaming louder and louder, and he comes over and he puts his gun like this, and I could see him trying to aim at me. And I decided I had to shoot him at that point. And I had made the decision to do it. I knew it had to be done. It's funny because once you make that decision once in your life, you are no longer uncomfortable with whether you can make that decision again. Because I know a lot of you probably are still very uncomfortable with whether you can make that decision or not. When it comes right down to it, you probably can, let me tell you. Anyway, I stopped yelling. I firmed the grip on my gun, and I stopped yelling. That was the thing. I stopped yelling, and the other two guys stopped yelling all at the same time, because all three of us had decided to drop this guy. And we all went, and I started pulling off the trigger, and he started pulling the trigger. And so I start letting off that trigger. And I let off, and I realized Jim was running towards the guy. So I start running towards the guy, and I come down and I get my gun in the holster as I'm running, and I get it locked into the holster, and I get the back snap on it right about the time I get to the guy. And Jim had grabbed him. This guy was a 300-pound wrestler. I'm not lying. Jim grabbed him to take him down. He caught Jim in the air. Jim's a regular 200-pound guy like me. You know, caught him in the air and threw him. It was like something out of WWF. So I jumped on him and I grabbed him, and I'm trying to push, and he just literally like moves out of the way and pushes me out of the way like that. Mike comes up to him and he shoves Mike off, and then Jim comes up again. He palms Jim right in the face and breaks his glasses off his face. So the fight was on at this point, and we just kept trying to fight this guy. I mean, all my equipment's gone. I know at one point I had my collapsible PR-24 out, and I had extended it, and I had put about 4 of them into his gut when he grabbed my stick with one hand and around my neck with the other hand, and he was trying to rip me in half. And they start grabbing him, and anyway, Mike ends up hitting him behind his knees. He ends up like literally running towards him and putting his shoulder into the back of his knees and letting him fall down on top of him. That's how we finally got the guy down. And then the fight went on for 10 more minutes. And he was on some drugs. He was on some bad drugs. Found out later. I spoke to the man about 4 hours later. He apologized to me. He thanked me for not killing him. Yeah. He said, it was a bad trip. He goes, I don't know. He goes, I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember that I should be dead. He says, I held a gun at cops. I should be dead. I said, yeah, you should. But I said, you know what? You ran into 3 cops tonight that aren't your average cops. Because none of the 3 of us wanted to kill anybody tonight. And it was that desire and the fact that I had hard cover that gave him those few extra seconds as a man to make the right decision. And he did. And it saved his life. And he may still be alive today. He was only a few years older than me at the time. So shotguns are good. They're good in the house because you're not going to kill your kids in the next room, but you're going to make a lot of noise, and you can hit some guy without aiming exactly at him. Shotguns are the best for home defense. I suggest birdshot because you will kill an intruder with birdshot, and you will not kill your kids in the next room. That's what you need is birdshot. You could use double-aught buck. You have to be a little more careful where you aim it. Rifles, yeah, they're great. Put them in the closet. They're not for home defense. I'm sorry. Cops shouldn't be carrying them either. They're a terrible gun. And I'm not saying we should ban them. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying for urban or rural policing, they're not necessary. When they start using these rifles, they end up going into the next house and the next house, and it's not necessary. The best thing you're ever going to have for most police encounters is a good pistol and someone that knows how to use it. That's all you need. These guys with these long guns, they're never ready to fire. They're never on target. It's always a pain in the ass. Now they're all carrying around extra 223 mags and shit. I'm like, what are we doing to ourselves, guys? You'll go your whole career. I mean, one time I almost shot somebody, and that was it. In all those years of being a cop, just I don't know, man. I think we're getting a little crazy with the whole thing. But it is what it is. I don't think cops should dress like army men. I don't think they should dress like they're in Desert Storm or something. I don't think they should dress like the guys that we send to a foreign theater of operation, because they're policing us. I think they should dress in a uniform. The uniform should button down the front and have a badge and a name tag on it. I really, really don't like how they all look like army men now. They all look like SWAT. I think that that is about 30% of what's driven the wedge between the community and the cops, is the way they're dressing. They dress like they're fighting a war against us, and I really don't like that. 9mm are great. I've got a 9mm as well. I got a 44 Magnum also. I mean, I can take care of business if I have to. I got a 6-inch Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum with Packmeyer grips. I can, and I got speed loaders for it, 3 sets. So I can take care of business with a big gun that barks. But the truth is, I grab the 9 every time, because that 9 gives me 16 in one. I got the extended mags. It gives me 16 and 1 in the pipe. That's 17. My God, if you can't do it in 17, you probably should give up. Yeah, these idiots with the ice stuff. It's crazy. That's what I ask people when they're like, man, I kind of like that. I support it. I'm like, really? Then should we be able to ram the police because they're arresting our neighbor? Maybe my neighbor was growing pot and I don't have a problem with it, but the cops do. Should I ram the cops? I mean, I know that sounds stupid, doesn't it? But that's what we're talking about. Someone broke the law. The cops show up to arrest them for breaking the law, and people are ramming the cops. Look, if you want to be mad, don't be mad at the cops. Now, if the cops are beating people they shouldn't be beating, be mad at the cops. But in ICE's case, they're doing exactly what the government sent them out there to do. And from what I can see, they seem to be de-escalating and doing things fairly, and that's the second camera I've seen a little bit of an aurora on. So we might want to keep an eye on that. But anyway, the whole thing with law enforcement today is they need to bridge the gap between the community and law enforcement, and the best way to do that is to not dress like you're fighting a war. You need to stop. We need to stop tasing people that are in handcuffs. There's just a lot of things we need to stop doing. But I also completely agree that this whole thing with ICE, a lot of these laws, like if you don't like a texting and driving law, don't blame the cop. Blame the congressman. Blame your state Congress, your state house. That's where it starts. Don't blame the cop. The cop's told, go enforce this. Many times, cops choose not to enforce it. It's called discretion. And cops do use a lot more discretion than we give them credit for. Cops see burned out lights all the time on the back of cars. They're not going to pull over every single car. And so a lot of cops do use discretion. Now, we had a law that just passed down here that you weren't allowed to have anything that covered any part of your license tag. And guess what? They'll put you in jail for having a Bob Smith Ford tag around your thing. And everybody said, look, the cops are not like that. They're not petty like that. They're going to use this like it's supposed to be used, which is to prevent people from blocking tag readers and things like that. The second day after the law was signed, a cop went and put a man in jail for having a car lot thing around his tag that didn't cover anything. So that's the problem, is you have to blame the lawmakers, because they're the ones making a lot of these stupid damn laws that don't need to be made. And they're the ones allowing them to use these flock cameras to keep tabs on us and photograph us everywhere we go. Yeah, Tim Waltz is such an idiot that that they actually just made the Congress is made an act now. They're passing a law that will put people out there to prevent this kind of fraud in the future and to put systems and technologies and personnel in place to prevent another huge fraud like we've had in Minnesota with Tim Walz. And you know what they're calling it? They're calling it the Walz Act. It's so bad there with the fraud, with the Somalis and the fraud and all that, that they're naming a national bill to prevent fraud after your governor. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, he's a piece of work. We call him either Birthday Clown or Jazz Hands. We have names for everybody on the show. And I call him either Birthday Clown or Jazz Hands or just Tampon Tim if you're going with first names. $8 billion's light. 8 billion's light. It's gonna be a lot more than that. There was Somali groups, 501 groups that were billing the government for serving 12,000 meals a day in a town that only has 3,200 people living in it. And it went on for years because there was no checks and balances under Joe Biden. There's so much more to uncover with this kind. Well, thank you, Junior. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I do really appreciate that. Yeah, we're going to find a lot more, guys. There will be a lot more fraud. We're going to probably see. Where's my mouse? Oh, is that the? Oh, you're sitting on that mouse. That was the other mouse. All right, I think it's working. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. The next 2 nights I won't be in studio, and then I'm going to have to work on this next week. Yeah, it's showing me that that YouTube is not receiving enough bandwidth. But according to my computer, I'm sending everything, and I'm only using 50% of my system resources right now. So if I'm only using 50% of my resources, then what's causing the bottleneck? All right. As soon as this clears up and it's steady again, I got one more story I'll tell you guys today. I got a bunch of them, but I don't want to tell them all in one night. Some of you know this, some of you don't. But I'm a retired fire chief. I was the chief of a fire department. I ran. It's a kind of a small department, I guess. We had when I was chief there, we had 8 paid personnel and 40 volunteers. We ran about 1,000 calls a year and had about an $900,000 a year budget. So yeah, kind of a smaller department. But anyway, at that department, we got a lot of things done. We had a very successful department. We had the lowest rating in Florida for a mostly volunteer department, as far as ISO. And that's because we had it high and tight, man. We were just, things were going very well, in our department. And we were getting it done out there. But yeah, I did that for, just shy of 20 years. And, my back just got too bad. I couldn't do it anymore. The stress was killing me, and the stress would aggravate my back injury so bad that I couldn't fake it anymore. And I was walking with a limp. I was wearing an upper and a lower back brace while I was working and trying to hide it, which I couldn't. Everybody knew I was wearing it, and it's I still wear the lower brace today, and I've wore it every day for the last 30 years, or 20 years. Yeah, we were when I started there. My department was an ISO 9/9, which is about the worst you can get. 10 means there's no fire protection at all. And then over the years, we ISO'd twice, and we got our rating down to an ISO 4. And I know to people in big cities that doesn't sound like a lot, but we were at a 9. I mean, we went from like almost not having insurance. Insurance basically covered everything because you didn't really have a fire department at 9. At 4, you actually got a decent insurance rate. In fact, the two fully paid departments west of us were 5s. That used to drive them nuts. That we actually had a better ISO rating than fully paid departments. Even the city of Fort Myers was a 4, and we were a 4. So it was good. I mean, we were a well-rated fire department. All right, it looks like I'm back on and everything's okay. If there's a problem, just put it in the chat room. Yeah, the whole Somali thing's a mess. I don't know how it all centered up in Minnesota, but it's unfortunate for folks that own property and live there that they're having to deal with this. But anyway, it is what it is. All right, so one last story. I had been a firefighter about maybe a year, volunteer, and I had just been hired full time. I had just finished fire school. I was in EMT school, and they asked if I wanted to work an event. I said sure, and they said, all right, we want you and Bob to take 11, which was the second out rescue truck, the backup rescue truck. Take 11, make sure it's equipped, and take it down to the Civic Center. We're also going to send down 21, which was our second out engine, because they're having truck pulls down there, and they're a little dangerous inside. You know, those trucks blow up every so often. And so what we used to do was we would set up an engine in the back and connect it to the standpipe system, and we would connect it to the hydrant, and we would connect it and have a hose line right outside the door, all coiled up and charged and ready to go. And then we would just shut the truck down. And then if there was a fire, we literally would run over and start the truck up and engage the pump. God damn this fucking thing. I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to shut down. I don't know. There's really not that much running, so I don't know what else to do. I'm still showing the error, but I don't know. It's true, there could be a lot of people downloading games and shit on the internet right now. But I don't know. This problem's not new. This is something I've had recently a few times. I'm still showing a low keyframe error from YouTube. It could be, guys, I'm going to roll the commercials and take 4 or 5 minute break. I got to go to the restroom. I will be right back. Let's go ahead, since we're letting this firm back up, let's take this opportunity to go ahead and do something else here. Let's just give this a few minutes, and I'll be right back. Let's. This next song is one of my favorites. This one's called "Voices in the Night." It's about 40 meters in the middle of the night, and I'm gonna play that for you guys, and I will be back in just a couple of minutes. I'm gonna take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. This is Starship Adventures. We're gonna let this firm itself up here, and then I'm gonna tell you that story. So don't go anywhere. This is Starship Adventures. My name's Ian. The sights and sounds of Earth. Don't go anywhere. This is a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Open with rain, this face is angry and wide. Turn the big wheel, let the signal. Skywave bouncing off the F layer high. 7 megahertz cutting through the sky. Voices in the night, calling through the dark. 40 meters burning with a lonely spark. From Tokyo to Moscow, Buenos Aires light. International friends on the friendly night. Voices in the night, thousands of miles away. Spooky signals dancing in the gray. Logbook open wide, pen
guys. Well, there you go. You can see right there. I did a couple of speed tests there. I saw somebody said those are horrible speed tests. Those were speed tests performed on this machine that was currently compositing 7 or 8 different videos and sending them out on a stream to YouTube, and then doing the speed test on top of that. So if you add that, and I keep getting this warning over and over again. I don't know what to do. That's who our fiber provider is CenturyLink. And no, they're not perfect. We've already had issues with them setting up billing and stuff, but the speed test was horrible because it was being tested on the computer that was broadcasting. I mean, the speed test was being done on the same computer that was compositing 8 videos and running the radar and running everything and running this video off of my phone and everything else, and broadcasting it on YouTube in high definition and doing a speed test on top of that. So no, it wasn't that bad of a speed test when you add all that up. But when I'm not on the air, it speed tests out to a gig up and a gig down. Here, let's do something over here. Let's see that. I mean, I'm tending to think it's something in my computer. That's the most likely explanation. I may have to do something a little drastic. I don't know. What do you think, Kitty? All right, so here we go. I'm over on my laptop. Now, my laptop is a Ryzen 9. It's got almost all the same stuff. It's even got more gigabytes of RAM and stuff than my big computer has. When I overbought this laptop. So I'm going to run the same speed test with the same people on this. This is over Wi-Fi. It's about 90 megabits per second down. There was a big dip in it, though, right in the middle, just like when we did it over here. But it averaged 87 megabits down, and the up is going to be 80 plus. Yeah, 80 megabits up. And a 32 millisecond ping. So, and that's with the other computer that's not doing anything else but the speed test. So I'm getting what I'm supposed to get. I mean, it's pretty close. That's right. It only started giving me this not long ago, but it did this once before. I was having all kinds of these lagging issues and stuff, and I installed a fresh version of Windows on a fresh hard drive and just kept the old hard drive with all my stuff on it. And I may have to do that again. For $50, I can order another terabyte hard drive, solid state, and stick it in here, and reinstall that same 7 and 8 year old version of Windows 7 or Windows 10 that I'm using, that I'm still using. I got another thing that popped up again the other day that told me that all of my children were going to die if I didn't upgrade to Windows 11 in the next 16 minutes. So I don't know how that worked out. I've got 11 on this laptop, and I've tried to make it Windows 10, but it's not Windows 10. It sucks. It runs okay. It's the compatibility stuff seems to be okay. They changed the user interface drastically. That's my problem. Everything's in a different spot. Every help screen, settings screen, everything's in a different spot. And so now, instead of just going to where I need to go, I have to literally just go search for shit all the time. I guess that's what you're supposed to do now, I guess. Well, just go up to the search bar. Just hit the little search glass and type for it. It's like, I don't want to do... I knew right where the God blessed button was. Why can't I just go to the button? Oh, your generation's so analog. So analog. You still think like button locations when you should be thinking like menu locations. Anyway, I could do that, neighbor, but I don't want to. I'm not. I don't want to go back in time at this point when it comes to my resolution. Um, but I do understand what you're saying, and I may have to temporarily, set it on the 1090 or whatever the next one down would be. Um, I really don't want to do that. All right, well, while it's not acting up, I'm going to tell you this one last story for tonight. I'd been a fireman maybe a year or so. I had been paid for even shorter time than that. I was still in EMT school, and we're heading down in this backup rescue squad to go work the tractor pulls. Those were big down here, and they actually had them indoors. The diesel smoke was so thick in there, it'd give you grandma cancer. But we didn't care back then. And they would literally bring in a bunch of dirt into the middle of the Civic Center so they could drag this thing back and forth like 40 feet. It was really ignorant, but whatever. Our Civic Center, the whole back didn't open up like on a lot of them. So a lot of the shows were very truncated, very small. But they still did them in there. It was amazing over the years that nothing really bad never happened. But anyway, we were there. We were going, and we were wearing our gear. It was a gear up type thing where they wanted us to be in our pants and boots with our coat and helmet within 20 feet. And we used to do this a lot when it was a high risk concert or there was going to be high risk pyrotechnics. We would make them hire 2 additional firefighters. And we would tell those firefighters would be geared up with an active hose line right outside the door. So I mean, there's no bullshit. Something starts on fire, the firemen are already standing there with a hose. We weren't taking no one was dying in our district, and no one ever did it any of our stuff like that. So, and that was very important for us. But so anyway, we're driving down there in the squad. We're just driving, no lights on or nothing. Just it was after dark. We just got our headlights on. We're driving, and I called it on the mic. That Bayshore 11 was en route to the Lee Civic Center for a special detail, and we were working the tractor pulls with Bayshore 21. And it's okay, 10-4. So then about 2 minutes later, as we're driving down the road, we see a car on the side of the road with the window all smashed out and the 4-way flashers on, the hazard lights on, whatever you want to call them. Everybody calls them something different. And the blinkers are on, and we look going by, and I shine my light back as I'm going by, and I'm like, man, that windshield's all smashed up. It looks like it's shot out on that car. And so we pull down the road about another half a mile, and we see a guy flagging us down. He's standing there going like this. He had nothing in his hands at the time. He's flagging us down. So we flipped on the beacons on the top, and we pulled off the side of the road. And the guy walks up to my window. I'm the passenger. I was with the guy I was with was senior to me. He was the engineer, and I rolled down the window and I said, "Hey, how can I help you?" And he says, "Man, my car's broke down up the road." I said, "Yeah, I saw that." I said, "Everything okay?" He goes, "Yeah, piece of shit." I said, "What can we do for you?" "I need some help." I'm like, "Okay, what kind of help do you need? I'll have someone come up from the station, and I'm realizing this guy's pretty drunk. Yeah, he's drunk or something, or he got his head bashed in or something, because he's not thinking right. You can tell it, or he's slurring. And so he said, "Get me help." And I said, "Well, I said, we're medical people. You need medical help? What kind of help do you need?" "I need help." "Okay, So I looked at over at Bob, and he says, just call the station and take him to TAC 5. I said, all right. So I called the station. I said, go to TAC 5, which was like our bullshit channel. We get over there. I said, yeah, I got a guy on the side of the road. He needs help. I said, can you go ahead and send the sheriff up this way and see if they can get this man some help. His car is broke down. He's stranded out here on the side of the road. Okay, no problem. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to talk to the guy, and he's acting all weird now that I've talked on the radio. So I reach back down and I put the radio back on the dispatch channel, channel 1, as we called it, primary or fire 1. I put it back on that, and right as I turn it, I turn back and look, and he's got a gun right in my face. And I mean, he was touching me in the forehead with this gun. And he says, "You're going to die, MFer." And I didn't know what to do. I wasn't even a cop yet. I hadn't even been to cop school yet. Okay, I'm talking. I had been a fireman for maybe a year. I hadn't even gone through EMT completely yet. I could put out fires and take blood pressures. That was about it. And I got this gun literally shoved right in my face, touching me in the forehead with it. And I'm like, what did I do? What's wrong? What happened? And I'm just like, I'm bewildered. Well, I've got the mic in my hand, the radio mic. I grabbed this gun because I thought he was going to kill me. I literally did. And I wanted to push the gun up towards the ceiling so that he would shoot the ceiling instead of me. And so I'm trying to hold it up. The whole time I've got the mic and I'm holding the mic, and I know I'm keying the mic. And as I'm holding him in the mic and I'm holding like this and I'm holding like this, I yell, Bayshore 11, 1024, Bayshore 11, 1024, Bayshore and whatever it was, Wayzata or whatever. But 1024, Wayzata, 1024. I said it like 4 times on the radio. I know it went out. And I'm struggling and struggling. I end up at some point losing the mic. I don't know what happened to the mic. And I'm fighting him. Now remember, I'm in a seatbelt and I'm in bunker pants with suspenders on and big black boots. Okay? And between me and the driver's door, which is my escape route, I got 2 helmets, 2 coats, 2 flashlights. I got all our shit stacked between us, the clipboard for the truck, the whole thing. And I'm like, I got to get out of here. He yanks the gun away from me. And he pulls the gun and he trips and he falls. I start pedaling for the driver's door. Bob reaches in and grabs my red suspenders and pulls me and all of our shit onto the floor on the other side of the truck. Now I'm laying on the ground on the driver's side of the truck in the road. He's over in the ditch side, okay? I look under the truck and I can see him getting up. I'm like, go, go, go. The truck's sitting there, both doors wide open. The beacon lights are on. And I run across the street with Bob Ross. The good news was at the time, and I can say his name because he's long dead. The good news at the time was I had a cheap-ass portable radio in my pocket, but it worked. I get in the ditch on the other side of the road, and we work our way down the ditch to where it starts to get kind of wet. And we stop, and we're in the weeds, in this really thick weed area. And he's looking for us. He's walking around looking for us, scanning with the pistol, looking for us. And I'm like, oh my God, he's looking to shoot us. So I picked up my radio and I turned the radio on, and it was on channel 1. And I said, Lee Control, Bayshore 11. She said, Bayshore 11, I copied your 1024. The sheriff's department's on their way, code 3. I said, 10-4, be advised. We were stopped by a male on the side of the road. He's wearing a white shirt. And I said, and he is now looking for us. He is looking for us right now. We're hiding on the other side of the road in the woods. I said, he has got a pistol. I don't know what kind. He's brandishing it now, looking for us in the woods. And she comes back and she's like, 10-4, Bayshore 11. She goes, Sheriff's Department advises on the way. I said, 10-4, I need an ETA because we are currently being hunted by this individual. He's walking down the ditch now, looking for us, scanning for us to shoot us. And I'd never been so scared in my life, dude. I swear to God. I know 6 months earlier I was trapped in a burning building and I wasn't this scared. Okay, I can honestly tell you that. But anyway, so I'm like shivering. I'm like scared. He's coming. He's coming. And at that point, our lieutenant pulls up with his wife in the right seat. I don't know what he's thinking. He gets out of his truck, and Bob and I got separated at one point, and I end up down here. Bob ends up over here. He drives around and picks up Bob because he ended up confronting the guy, and the guy drew the gun on him, and he had his gun, and he drew the gun on him. And I don't think any shots were exchanged, but it was a tense situation. He jumps back in his car. Bob jumps in there and says, "Go, go, go! Just get your wife out of here." And then they go down a couple blocks and turn down a side street. So now I'm sitting there by myself, hiding in the ditch, down in the mud, with reflective pants on. Yeah, we got reflective stripes and reflective suspenders. And I'm trying to hide. At one point, I just about took all that shit off. I didn't know what else to do. So at this point, the guy's coming back towards our rescue squad. He comes back and he sits down in the rescue squad. And I'm like, Lee Control Bayshore 11. And I can hear myself coming through the speaker in the squad. So he's listening to me call for help. He knew we were calling for help because he was listening to my 1024 traffic coming out. And so after this had been 10 minutes now gone by. Lee Control Bayshore 11, I need an ETA. This man's out here with, he's signal 0. He's looking for me right now. And I need them out here right now. What's going on? Bayshore 11, they can't provide an ETA. Well, what I didn't realize at this point was one of our firefighters, that's an off-duty cop, that's a volunteer at my station, grabbed a bunch of his guns and drove to the station. And 2 trucks full of guys armed themselves. They called up Lee Control Bayshore Station. Go ahead. ETA on law enforcement. Law enforcement has no one to send. They're going to send somebody ASCP. They're trying to get East District to send somebody. At that point, they got in 2 different trucks. They got into the primary squad and the tanker, and they drove down there. And the first truck blocked the road off, and they started working their way down. The second truck, the tanker, with one of the guys sitting on the passenger window of this 1969 International Harvester, 1,300-gallon tanker that was built by prisoners at Stark Prison for forestry, comes barreling down the road with the beacons going, and he's got a shotgun up over his head, and he's yelling, "Who's going to die today?" And they got the siren going on the truck, and the guy took off in the woods. I watched him. He took off in the woods when he saw this tanker barreling right for him. They were going to run him down. And the tanker slams on brakes in the middle of the road. I get up out of the mud. I run for the tanker. I get there. He's like, "Where's he at?" I said, "He's right there in the woods beyond the squad." So he goes, "Just stay right here." We got up on the side of the tanker, put the water tank between us and him. And we stayed, and we got up and laid on top of that tanker and watched for him to come out of the woods. And we waited 15 more minutes. And finally, the first deputy arrived. And they held a perimeter. About 25 minutes later, K-9 showed up. The K-9 went in the woods. The K-9 had lunch. The K-9 and lunch returned back to the road. We were asked if we could treat said lunch. I really didn't want to. I'm like, this guy just tried to kill me, and you want me to treat his wounds? Let's he's not that bad. Let's just get the medics. I mean, this is, But anyway, the other guys came over and treated him. But the point is they caught the guy. He ended up going to prison for 6 years minimum mandatory for for 3 counts of ag battery on a firefighter. So it was, and various other firearms charges. He fired into 3 passing vehicles before we stopped, and we didn't know that. We didn't find that out until like the next day. They called us and said, we have complaints. We had the deputy took 3 different reports at the Civic Center, cars with bullet holes in them. This guy was actively shooting just before he almost killed me. And so, yeah, it's looking back on it, it's crazy. When the sun goes down now, my ass is in the yard, the gate's chained, my door's locked, and I got a pistol. I don't, Sludgeon, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's a messed up story, but it's absolutely true. And I don't mean to badmouth the sheriff either, because I mean I've been a member of that department. I don't like the sheriff they have right now. He's a bit of a tyrant, but I worked for that department, and I love that department in a way. And so I'm not even really. I was never mad at them because they were busy that night. They were on some robbery or something. It wasn't like they were blowing us off. We're out in the middle of nowhere, and they're up in town on a big call. So it was back then. We had like 5 deputies in each of the 4 quadrants of our county. So there was like 20 deputies on overnight. There's probably 70 or 80 or 100 on overnight right now. So, I mean, the difference from back then to now is just absolutely crazy. But yeah, it was good. And come to find out, just to kind of give you the lowdown on this guy, he's crazy. He had a restraining order. His wife had one against him. They were split up. He kept going crazy and doing stuff. Well, apparently his car broke down, and that set him into a rage. So he got out of the car and he put the first magazine into the car. He shot out every window and both headlights. That'll teach that Buick. And then he put another mag in and started walking down the street, and he took 3 pot shots at 3 different cars, and then saw the fire truck and waved us down. He could have took pot shots at us. I thank God you don't think about how close you come. How close you come. It's like the day that Donald Trump got shot in the ear. That's as close as it gets, my friend. That's as close as death gets there. That man, I think he was saved. I really do. I think there was some divine intervention or something. That boy was aiming right at him. They say the wind was not strong enough to take it that far off target. You never know how close you're going to come to death. Just 6 months before that, I got trapped inside this little crackerbox shithole house that was on fire. We thought there was animals inside. I went inside trying to get the cats and dogs out. And the guy behind me was one of the higher ups at the department, and he didn't have an air pack on. And so at some point we got separated, and the roof came down in the living room, and I couldn't find my way back out. My hose was pinched, and I yelled for help on the radio, and I saw a window, and I grabbed this pole that I found and started banging on the window. Next thing you know, my brothers were yanking me right through that window. I was fine. So that was another one. It was a little bit close, but it was no big deal. I thought there was animals in there, and it didn't seem like it. I didn't realize how big a piece of shit this house was when I went in. It was like the roof was about to fall down before the fire. Yeah. The movie with Michael Douglas. Yeah, except this guy didn't quite do it up that well. It ended up doing 6 years at the Stockade, or no, actually, it would have been more than a year. So he'd have done that up the road at either Charlotte or Henry Correctional, or at one of our state correctional facilities. Yep, everything's running good now. Why would it run good now and not earlier? I have all the same videos running. I don't know. That's why I'm starting to wonder. I don't know. It's weird. I have no idea. All right. So anyway, but that's that. I have other more stories like these will be forthcoming in the days ahead. I have lots of stories. Um, oh well, there you go, Sludge, and I like to hear that. That's very good. That's awesome. Thank you again very much. I do appreciate that. Yep, I got some stories. We were a smaller department, and I became chief of that department. I was actually chief the last for about 2.5 years, and then I just didn't want to do it anymore. My back was hurting so bad, the stress and everything that was going on. The union was really fighting us. There was just a lot going on, and they had another guy that was going to come in and do it. He had worked there for a while. Everything was good, so I actually changed positions with him. He became chief, and I became lieutenant, and I stayed working there for 1 year and did all of the philanthropy for 1 year, and then I left government work altogether. I did that on purpose because I was just done. It was too much stress. I loved it, but I did almost all of the philanthropy that our station did. I did it, whether we were raising our own money or whether we were raising money for something else or we were doing all the different things. My department was a true community fire department. They don't really exist much anymore. You don't think about your firefighters, bringing gifts for unfortunate kids during the holiday, or as we used to call it, gifts for kids who parents drink Christmas. But I know that's terrible, but that's what we literally used to call it. Uh, Not to the public, but to us, we used to call it Christmas for kids whose parents drink Christmas. And it was because a lot of times what happens was, these people, their parents get addicted to phonics or alcohol or drugs or whatever, and next thing you know, the kids don't get Christmas. There's no Christmas trees. And early on in my career out there, I realized that there's a need. We were contacted by someone that says, "Hey, I know this little girl." This is how it started. No, it started. There's a little boy. His parents have nothing. They're about to lose their house. And they have nothing, and their electric's about to get shut off, and it's Christmas time. The dad's out of work. And so Tom come and got me. He says, "What do you think about this?" I said, "Well, let's buy the kid Christmas." I said, "Your kids you got everything bought for your kids, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "We can both afford it. Let's just each pitch in $50 and we'll go buy this kid a bunch of toys. We'll go to Radio Shack and buy him remote control truck and, you know, whatever it was back then." And we took it to his house Christmas Eve. We took it to his house that night, all the presents. And we let him sit on the fire truck and honk the horn and everything. And then the next year we were told about this little girl way up off of State Road 31. Dad had to hawk the horse to pay the power bill. Dad was out of work. It was one of those situations. So I drove out there and I talked to the family. I said, "What's going on?" And they told me. And I said, "We're going to fix this." I said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "We're going to fix it. I need to know. I need." All right, guys, I appreciate it. Don't spend too much on me now. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. He said, "Hey, I need to know where the horse is, and I need your power bill." And I said, "And I will see you on Christmas Eve." And that's all I told them. And they gave me the information. They handed me their power bill, and I walked away. And we went down and we paid the power bill. And we went and got that horse. We got a trailer. Simon, my buddy that was a volunteer at the department, had a horse trailer and an F-350 pickup. We went out and picked up that horse from that man. We paid him the money that was owed on it. And we drove that horse out there and gave it back to that girl. It makes me cry today thinking about it. And it was the best. And one of our guys dressed up as Santa Claus. And it was one of our members who was Jewish, and his code name on the radio was Hanukkah Harry. And it was so much fun that the next year we all got so much positive joy out of that experience helping that little girl. And we all felt so good about it that we decided we were going to do this every year. Every year. And so the next year, we put the word out a little bit in the community, up at Lawhans and different places, and we would say, hey, if you know somebody that needs help on Christmas, we can help. We can do this. Just let me know, and I will make sure that they get taken care of. Well, we got told about 10 different families in this one community that the whole community's poor. It's a little, it's like a little campground, if you will, and where it's like a permanent campground type of thing, where there's power and sewer and water, but it's mostly poor people. Anyway, we heard that there was a bunch of kids in there that didn't have anything. So I drove in there, and I met up with the park manager, who I knew because I did his fire inspections and stuff every year, and we got along great, and he's a nice guy. He really cared about these people. That's why he did what he did. He ran a slum camp. And he didn't run a slum camp because he was an asshole. He ran a slum camp because he actually cared about people. And him and I became buddies. And we went through, later on, we went through a flood together and a bunch of different things. And just a really good guy. Anyway, I said, how many families do you have? He says, we've got a lot. Everybody in here. He says, 15 families. He said, and they have nothing. He said, most of them are here because they lost their house. That's why they're living in a tent, or they're living in a RV, or they're living in a little pulled trailer that's gutted out or whatever. Some are living in lawn trailers that they've dried in. He says, it is what they have. It's what they've got. And I said, all right, we're going to fix this. So we're going to fix this. I said, you let every one of these families know that we will be here at noon on Christmas Eve to give them a Christmas tree, and then we'll be back right after dark with Santa Claus, and I want them all to meet us up at the office. And we put the word out about 2 weeks ahead of time. We told all of our volunteers. Some of them worked at Walmart. Some of them worked at different places. One of them even worked at Toys R Us. And we were able to actually get corporate donations and private donations. And even later on, Toys for Tots and stuff like that, the Marine Corps were helping us get our toys for our kids. And we would set tables up in the garage. We'd pull the trucks outside, and we would set up 8 bingo tables out there, 8-foot bingo tables. And we had this whole pattern where these, if it was mostly this color, it was for girls. It was mostly this color, it was boys. Every package in the corner had a B or a G with an approximate age. Like it would say B 12 to 13. So you knew when Santa would pick that package up, he would look at it and he could see, oh, this one's for you. And he would know who to hand it to because it said the sex and the year right on it. And then on Christmas, we would go in there at noon with our service truck and drive to every house and give them 3 packs of lights, a Christmas tree, and 2 big packs of bulbs. And then during Christmas Eve, they would put their tree up, which they were allowed to keep. We didn't come take them back. They were theirs to have. And where we got that stuff? Christmas tree lots. You go to a Christmas tree lot on Christmas Eve and give them a tax write-off, and they give you all the old Christmas trees. And then we go in to Walmart, and they give us the stands for 75% off as a corporate thing. And we were able to get everything we needed to put real Christmas trees in these houses with bulbs and with lights, and have a place to put their gifts under the tree. And everybody got a tree. And he was like amazed. He goes, and you're coming back tonight? I'm like, we will be here at dark. I said, have everybody assembled here. Tell them Santa Claus is coming to town. And that night, Hanukkah Harry, again, Goldie was his name. I love that guy. He put on the Santa costume, and he would get on the back of the truck up where the engineer would stand, up on the pump panel on the back. And he would stand up there, and we would all stage down the road. We had like 7 vehicles. We had 2 pickup trucks full of gifts, and fire trucks and engines and we would pull down. I would wear my Class A. All of the officers would wear their Class A uniforms with their long jackets with the stripes and our white hats. And it was a big deal. The guys would wear all their uniform shirts. Even the volunteers had light blue uniform shirts with a badge and everything. And we looked good. And we would come rolling in there. And those kids they would hear the siren coming, and you could hear them screaming. And we come around that corner, and there was Santa on the back of that truck just waving. I'm just waving and waving and waving. And we'd pull up in there, and we had an exact plan where all the trucks were supposed to pull. And then Santa would get out, and we'd shut everything down, and Santa would sit and talk to the kids for a few minutes, and then he would stand there, and we would hand the gifts to Santa so that the top corner had the writing on it of who it was for. And we'd hand it to him, and it would say girl 6 to 8. And he would look for a girl that was 6 to 8, and he would hand it to her. Every kid got like 6 gifts, okay? There was like plenty of gifts. And we did this every year. And after about the 3rd year, we started getting into baked goods. We were giving away boxes of cookies to each family. We were giving away all kinds of shit. And then we started doing it for other people. And we even got to the point where we were doing it for like people in neighboring areas and stuff. And we would call that department and say, look, we're going to stop by a house in your area with a fire truck and give some gifts to a kid. Is that okay? Because we don't want to step on any toes. And like, no, that's fine, you know. And it became a thing. And then we started doing Halloween every year. We built big wall sections that all pinned together and made a big maze in our bay. We used to raise $10,000 in 10 days with this big haunted maze we would do. Of course, we sold food. There was a lot of things. It wasn't just the maze, but there was a lot of things like a fall festival. We did a big Easter thing where we brought all the trucks out to a guy named Pepper's place. And he had a big Easter thing that went on out there. Very religious in my district. Lots of big Christmas and Easter things going on. We used to have big things like New Year's. All the guys would come in on New Year's Eve and man all the trucks in case there was fires and stuff. And we did a lot of really cool things. But the philanthropy out there, Jerry Lewis got 10 grand from us minimum every year. 10 grand for his kids. We would go out every year and stand on the side of the road with a boot twice a year, once for Jerry and once for us. And every time we'd stand out for 3 days, we'd make 10 grand. And you should see all the stuff you get in the boot. I can't tell you how many little roaches and little cheap rings and all the little stupid shit we would get. Which kind of roach, you ask? Yes. Anyway, yeah, I loved the philanthropy side. I loved all of the stuff that we did for the community that was like not putting out fires. That was fun too, but I really got into the stuff that we did for the kids. Every other year we did a big public service day where we'd have all the different agencies bring out their choppers and their K9 units and do demonstrations and all that. We did that about every other year. We had the fair every year. We did a big public safety thing at the fair. God, I'm trying to think of all the different things we did every year. But there was 12 events a year that we did, 12 different things that I did every year. And when I left, when I was going to leave, I was asked to stay because no one knew how to do any of this stuff. And I actually showed everybody, different people for each thing, how to do each event, who to call, what to set up, where the things are, how they come out, what happens, where you get this, where you borrow that. And we also had our big awards banquet at the end of the year, which was something that had gone on there for 20 years. It was a big deal. And all that, it was all a big department. And now I'm going to give you the heartbreaking part. The year after I left, because I fought the union for years. I fought the union and we won. The union never took us over until after I was gone. They tried every year. We spent about 15 grand a year of taxpayer money fighting the union because it would have cost a lot more money had the union come in. The year after I left, the union came in. The chief that came in after me rolled right over for the union. I should have saw that coming, but I didn't. He rolled right over for the union, and by the second year after I was gone, the union was entrenched. And guess what? Every single project, every philanthropy project that I was involved with ceased to exist. The presents for the kids, the turkeys on Thanksgiving, the Easter event at Peppers, the year-end awards banquet and dinner, the Halloween event, the New Year's Eve thing. I mean, everything we used to do, it all came to an end. They raised the taxes 56% in 1 year. They hired a bunch more people that cost a lot of money. They let go all of the volunteers. They got rid of half the trucks. And now they're a paid department. And there's 4 guys on duty. And there's the only 4 guys. If they need more help, they have to call from another department. Before, we had 40 guys deep coming. So that's what happens when the union comes in. Unions ruin everything. Because all unions care about is things like, beating them up for salary every year and beating them up for benefits and, just everything. Just constant issues and constant problems. Where before the union came, we were all making decent money. Everybody was happy. And the department did well. The volunteers picked up the slack of the fact that we only had 1 or 2 guys working each day. But actually, the volunteers gave us a lot more depth because when something big did happen, we had all these volunteers. Now when something big happens, they just got the 4 of them. Maybe a few officers that come in off duty, and that's about it. So it's one of those things where with unions, we lost the community fire department. We lost the volunteer fire department. We lost the days when the people in the community cared about the community, responded to emergencies in their own community. Most of the guys there now don't even live in the district anymore. They don't do anything for the kids at Christmas. They don't do any of the things that I used to do or that we used to do there. None of it. They don't raise any of their own money anymore. Whatever the tax money doesn't provide, they just don't give a shit. We used to raise 20, 30, 35, even 40,000 a year for the volunteer department and for the station and everything. They don't raise anything now. It's union. It's all tax. It's all property tax. And the property taxes in the last 10 years out there have gone up 50, 60%. It's disgusting. When you look at the rise in property values coupled with the rise in ad valorem tax rise, many places are literally paying twice what they were paying in taxes just 12 years ago. So it's crazy. And it's because they wanted their department to go union and to not be a volunteer department anymore. What, Mama? What'd you say? I actually heard you say something. She doesn't talk a lot, but her mouth moves. But I don't read cat lips. No, neighbor, I'm very proud of the work. I'm disgusted that it went away so fast after I went away so fast. And I wonder, had I stayed and fought, I could have kept it going maybe 1 or 2 more years. But I just don't know if my health had it. I never did get my health back. I still to this day have health problems that range all the way back. I get nothing for it. I don't expect nothing for it. I got to do a lot. I got to see a lot. I used to have these weird dreams. When I first started there, they were having a manpower shortage. And they hired me and put me through fire school. And I was the second man on shift. There was an engineer or a lieutenant, and then there was me. And I was the young rookie firefighter. Well, people moved on suddenly. All the guys took jobs somewhere else, all three of them. And they promoted three of us up pretty quickly. And I was still in officer's school when I got promoted to lieutenant. And when I got promoted to lieutenant at age 21, I was the youngest fire lieutenant in the county. And by far, probably. And I was very young for the position. Like I said, I was still finishing up officer's school. It was so bad, I was so young, that the chief didn't get our white helmets and white shirts. The three of us had, the one guy had been doing it about 10 years, and I'd been doing it like 3 years, 4 years. The other guy had been doing it 3 or 4 years. But we were pretty young to be officers. We had been going through the school and everything. And at first, we didn't even wear white hats and white shirts. We stayed in our blue shirts for a while. And then about a year later, he slowly integrated white shirts and white helmets and things like that because we were just so young. He wanted it to be earned slowly over time. But yeah, I was a lieutenant for many years. That was my favorite job over the years. That's where I started all these different started or helped start all of these different philanthropic. Can you say that, philanthropic? Is that a word? Efforts, if you will. And but yeah, it's all gone now. It's the department's still there, same building. They just sold, last couple of years, they just sold the last truck that was there from when I was there. And that was old engine 22. It was a damn good emergency one pumper that put in 20 years of service out there. Think about how old your car is. 20 years is a lot of service. Yes. You don't own your house. No, neighbor, you're absolutely right. You don't own your house. Because if you don't pay your taxes, they take it from you. So, now insurance, if you've paid your house off, you don't have to have insurance, at least not in Florida. You don't have to have flood or homeowners as long as you own the property. Now, if it's still got a note on it somewhere, then you are required to maintain coverage for at least the amount of the note. But yeah, if you look at it, you don't own your house, because if you don't pay taxes every year, they'll take it from you. So do you really own it? And let me give you another one. If you want to move a wall in your house, you got to get a permit. You got to ask permission from your county. None of us ever do, but you got to ask permission from your county to move that wall or that socket, or if you want to move that sink around, you want to put, if you're switching out the toilet, you don't need a permit. But if you're moving anything, a sink, if you're switching, moving, changing, replumbing, all that, in rerunning wires, moving plugs, moving electrical, moving anything, you're required to get a permit. It's ridiculous. So you have to literally get permission from the government to move your plug in your house on your time with your supplies that you bought with your money. It's not your house. It's not your house. It's just not. I'm sorry. If it was your house, you could do whatever you want with it. But you can't. Really, you can't do much of anything with it. You can't change it structurally at all. You can't even put new shingles on the roof without a permit. So yeah, it's not your house. With the tax, it's not your house. With the permits, it's not your house. So, yeah. Now, Florida's trying to fix this. Florida is working right now on eliminating property tax for anyone who has a homestead exemption. Now, I want you guys to think about that. that means that my taxes here would be free. Whew, gone. That's pretty damn good. Florida's already one of the cheaper tax states to live in, and we already have no income tax. We're one of only, I think, what, 8 or 12 states or something that have no income tax. And now they're talking about eliminating the property tax for homesteaded properties. And so that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. You would still have to pay garbage. We pay our garbage through our tax bill here. And you would still have to pay school. And you would still have to possibly pay fire and stuff like that. There's still going to be some things you have to pay. But they are looking to try to eliminate the base property tax. And it's going to be fun to see what happens with this, because Florida is really becoming a trend setter when it comes to conservative things like ending property taxes and not having income taxes and keeping all the other taxes lower. Florida tries to stay on the cutting edge of that. If you're going to make another driveway here, you have to have a permit. If it's going to connect to the county road, you would need a permit for that also. And if it goes through a ditch, you're going to have to get the culvert approved, and you're going to have it put in by a contractor in the approved fashion, because you're going to obstruct the flow of water down the ditch. So you're probably going to need at least 3 or 4 permits to put a driveway in. Yeah. It sucks. And Florida is one of the better states to live when it comes to permitting and shit like that. But it's still terrible down here. We still have places like the city of Cape Coral. I'm convinced that the Third Reich set up office in the Cape. This place is terrible. They have multiple sprinkler patrol trucks that go out at night. There should be like a TV show on NBC. It's like Special Sprinkler Unit or Criminal Watering Intention Unit or some. I mean, there's got to be something we can do. Like we got the special straw unit down on the beach. Busting people with the wrong kind of straws. And now we got Cape Coral over here busting people because, you can water on Tuesday, bucko. This is Wednesday. I don't know what you think you're doing, but you're paying a fine. Yep, you're paying a fine. City of Cape Coral is going to fine you $150 because your sprinkler came on Wednesday. And, buddy, your day is Tuesday, bucko. Somehow that makes the water get used less if you water on Tuesday instead of Wednesday. I think it has something to do with the calendar. I think if you water on Tuesday, it's better. I don't know, something. Maybe the grass grows better on Tuesday. I don't know. But they literally, they fine you if you water on Tuesday and your day is Wednesday or vice versa. People should stand up to this shit. You're absolutely right, Eyes. People should stand up to this shit. But these people in the Cape are a bunch of rollovers and Karens. Half of the people in the Cape like it this way. They like it this way. They'll put up with the bullshit with the sprinklers because that way when they call in complaints about their neighbors, that shit gets crushed. They come right out and they crush their neighbors. You're really screwing all my screens up, baby kitty. You know that? Come here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, neighbor, you're correct. A lot of times, and the biggest thing is like with the tax that we end up getting on inheritance. People have to sell the farm to pay the tax on the farm, and it's just disgusting that families lose their family farms over an inheritance tax. I don't think there should be an inheritance tax, and that's something I think we'll see disappear in the next few years. There should not be any inheritance tax. If your dad has a farm and you're the son and you've worked that farm with that man all these years, that farm's yours. You should get that farm, and you shouldn't have to pay Uncle Sam taxes and points and shit on that. That's just ridiculous. Don't you agree, Mom Kitty? She agrees. I can tell. I mean, I know she didn't say it, but I can tell. What's wrong? Are you crazy? Do you believe this? She's like a little bit. This cat was feral when she wandered up here. Feral. Completely running ass feral. And now, look at her in here. In my arms, climbing the ladder. Are you climbing the ladder? What are you doing? Yeah, she's climbing the ladder. Now, if she was on me doing that, it would be making biscuits. But when she does it in the air, it's called climbing a ladder. Yeah, inheritance tax is a federal thing. We all have that. Yeah, HOAs are bad. There's a lot of them down here. There's only one thing to do with HOAs. And since they won't allow us to burn them down, the best thing to do is to never move into one. Because you think you don't own your home? Move into an HOA. They can actually vote and make you sell your house. Who would do that? I mean, when you look at these idiots, HOAs taking people to court over putting up a flagpole with Old Glory on it. And I won't even tell you how they treat amateur radio operators that want to string up a wire every now and then. Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it, Kitty? It's just terrible. When they're dead, just don't file anything. They're dead. What are they going to do? Oh no, he's foul. She's not so bad. I've had some cats that when they used to box, man, you got to go stand outside for a while. She's not so bad. We've been sharing this space in here. She's got a little litter box. Well, actually a big litter box over there. It's an oversized litter box. She's never used a litter box in her life. She got sick. I brought her in here. I put a litter box down. She went right over 20 minutes later and shit in it. Cats, that you don't have to train a cat to use a litter box. Most cats, they come pre-programmed. They're when it comes to litter boxes, cats are mostly plug and play. That doesn't mean they're not going to piss on your bed to send you a message. But when it comes to what to do with the litter box, they're plug and play. They know what to do. I won't say anything. Here's a good one. Oh, she loves her armpits done. What is it with cats and armpits? Oh, do my armpits. Do them. Okay, I think we'll go down now. Okay. Yeah, it's a death tax. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, well, they put a lien on your house because that's the first step in taking it. They can't take your house until they lien it. Once they lien it, down here, I think it's 3 consecutive years if they lien your taxes. On that 4th year, they can foreclose on your house and they can take your house, sell it on the auction block, pay off the people that bought your tax certificates plus interest, and then whatever's left after the auction. And trust me, they don't make a lot. These auctions, you're not going to get any good money. And they take as much as they can, and then whatever's left, they send to you in a check that you have to go cash. And it's like, here, by the way, the house you're living in doesn't belong to you anymore, and you need to move out. And the cops are going to be here in 3 days to kick you out. And also, here's a check for $6,000. That's all that's left after we auctioned it off and took all the back taxes. So that's how that works. That's a 4-year plan, and that's how the government ends up getting back all these broke down houses, and that's why a house will sit derelict for 3 or 4 years, and then suddenly something will be done. The city has to go through this whole process to foreclose on something for a lien for non-payment of taxes. Yeah, the whole thing's ridiculous. But the truth is, I got to get going soon, guys. The truth is, we don't own our house. We never did, and the closest you can get is live out in the middle of nowhere. Never live in a city. Only live in a rural county, and then live out in the middle of nowhere in that rural county. And then you put a fence 1 acre around your property, and you put a chain and a lock. And believe it or not, the Constitution does protect you behind a chain and a lock a lot more than you think it does. And if your house cannot be seen from the road, then all they got is satellite data. And just go out there and live. I don't do anything illegal, but I also don't like the government over my shoulder. I can't stand it. One of the things we have here a lot is the ghetto bird flying overhead, the sheriff's chopper. It flies overhead. We call it the ghetto bird. The sheriff's chopper is circling and circling and circling here all the time. It's just ridiculous. No, if the HOA forecloses on your house, okay, and they can do that if you don't pay your dues, or if you get fined to a certain point, they can foreclose on your house. They can go file a lien against your house, and eventually, after years of that liening your home, they can then foreclose on it. They can force a foreclosure. At that point, your home would go to auction, and that's the way it works here. Your home would go to auction, and then you would end up losing your home, and you would get paid whatever's left after all the attorney's fees, all the service fees, all the fines, all the interest. Everything's added up. You're not going to get anything back. So yeah, they pretty much take your house. That's how it works. Yeah, it's pretty messed up. A killdozer. Killdozer. No, not really. I've heard of a dildozer, but that was on one of my favorite movies, Idiocracy. That was the dildozer. Oh no, it's the dildozer. All right, last call in the chat room. I've been on about an hour and 25 minutes. Yeah, someone will end up with the house for pennies on a dollar, and they'll turn around and just resell it. They'll fix it up and resell it, make a bunch of money on it. Okay, I'll put that in my show notes. I do actually keep show notes, guys, because I like to go back and look at this stuff. I pull up a notepad, and I haven't had anything tonight, so I haven't pulled one up yet, but I'll put that in there. Killdozer. Dildozer. Okay. Idiocracy is a great movie. When people start talking about the future is iRobot, the future, I don't know, man. It could also be like Idiocracy. I love that the guy's sitting in his living room in a robe on a toilet that's a reclining chair that has a toilet built into it, and he's watching pornography on a screen that's 80 inches wide, and there's so many commercials on it that he's watching the porno in about this much of the middle of the screen. It was hilarious. I love that movie. And then when he gets dressed to go, he walks over and he pulls disposable clothes out of a dispenser on the wall. Oh my God. I love that movie. If you've not seen Idiocracy, I want you to consider it historical homework. It's only about an hour and a half long. Give it a second. It's kind of a zany movie, but it's fun. But watch it and think about what if this was real. Because this is like the distant future, and you can already see a lot of the things. Like, they walk into the doctor's office, and the chick's just staring off into the distance. And she's like, "What's wrong?" And she's like not even looking at the guy. And he says, I don't know what he said, something about my barcode's wrong or something. and she looks down, and you can see the buttons shows like a hurt arm, a hurt leg, a hurt eyeball, a hurt nose, and she has to like press the button, and then it tells them what to do. And it's literally like the whole world was full of just bumbling idiots. And there's one scene that my favorite scene's the one with the three probes. Do you remember that scene? The guy has three probes. And you walk up to this guy on the way to see the doctor. You walk up and the guy goes, "Oh, hey man, we gotta like check you out." He's like, "Okay, what do I do?" And he goes, "Put this one in your mouth." And he puts it in his mouth. And he goes, "Okay, now put this one in your ear." And he puts it in his ear. And he takes the third one. He goes, "Now put this one up your butt." And he takes it and he looks at it and he goes, "Put it up my butt?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, just stick it up your butt." And then he goes, "Just stick it up?" "Yeah, just stick it up your butt." And he goes, "Oh, wait a minute, I got them mixed up." And he pulls them all back and he goes, "No, man, put this one in your mouth." I howled at that. I had to pause the movie the first time I watched it. I had to pause this movie like 10 times because I was laughing so hard that I couldn't hear the movie over my own laughter. But yeah, this is one you got to see. It's called Idiocracy. And look, there's Crocs in that movie. If you look, all the future people are wearing Crocs. Funny thing was, those shoes were not selling at the time, and they ended up getting a bunch of them because they looked like futuristic type shoes, and they ended up getting a bunch of them for cheap, so they put everybody in them. Because of the movie, they ended up becoming popular, and now everybody's walking around wearing Crocs. Oh yeah, it's Brondo. Brondo, it's got what you need. And they can't figure out why. I don't want to give any more of the movie away. I'll say one more thing. President Macho Camacho. He comes walking out. The president of the United States comes walking out, and he's flipping everybody off with both hands as he's walking out. I'm like, that is the future, dude. That's it, man. They've got this shit. They got it figured out. Brondo, it's got what you need. The thirst eliminator. Now I gotta go watch it again. I screened that up at my cabin for a bunch of my neighbors one time, and they all loved it. None of them had seen it before. Oh, I had a projector that I borrowed from somebody, and back when those were expensive. Now they're like $50, but now they're $50 and you don't need one. I can buy 50-inch TVs for $45 at Habitat for Humanity. All right, guys, last call for the chat room. I'm getting ready to sign off. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes of broadcasting tonight. So if you would, if there's any last-minute statements or any last-minute things in there, I'll wish you a Merry Christmas for the last 30 minutes of Christmas for those of you on the East Coast. For those of you in the Central Time Zone, you've got 90 minutes of Christmas left, so I hope you make the best of it. And for those on the left coast, you've still got plenty of time, 3.5 hours for Christ's sake. So do whatever it is you got to do. Eat some more pie, make yourself sick, and Christmas will be over soon. Now, I will tell you that tomorrow, my host, Trey Radel, will be hosting the Glenn Beck program from 9 to noon on 400 stations, satellite, and tune-in. So if anybody is out there that would like to listen to that, Trey Radel will be hosting the Glenn Beck program tomorrow from 9 to noon on most major conservative talk radio stations. And I'll be back on tomorrow night from 5 to 8 with The Drive. And then I'll be back here tomorrow night at 9. However, the caveat, tomorrow night I'll be driving to Tampa, so I'm going to pop in while I'm driving and say hi. I'll talk for an hour. We'll see what's going on. But we're not. It won't be a full show. It'll just be me in the car driving. I hope you like the stories. I do have lots of stories. I was a firefighter for nearly 20 years. Um, I was an emergency manager that responded. I was one of the first ones in on Hurricane Andrew. Not the first, but we got there shortly after the storm, and we were there for weeks after that. It was an incredible time to be alive and to be helping out in such a major calamity. And of course, over the years in fire, EMS, law enforcement, I did it all. And I've got some crazy stories too. There was a time I read a book that a friend gave me a book. He says, put this next to your toilet. You're going to appreciate it. And I literally brought it home and sat it next to my toilet because this was back before smartphones. And I opened it up. First day, I'm sitting there. I needed something to do. And I picked it up and I opened it up and I looked at it. And it had like names of people on the inside cover. This book had been passed around. I was like the ninth person to have it. And so I'm sitting there and I start reading it. It's a book of short stories. And this guy had been a cop in New York for 30 years. And what he did was it was called 10-8 was the name of the book. And it was written like it would have like a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 paragraph story, and then it would just say 10-8, and then it would start a new story. They were all really short stories. And I read that book cover to cover and then passed it on to another firefighter. And I just have always enjoyed the reading that book, and I can still remember a few of the crazy stories from that book. And I thought, I probably, if I add stories that my good friends have told me over the years, and I qualify those as not being directly my stories, I could probably write a book just like that. And I have thought about it over the years, except something just changed. Does anybody know what it is? Something just changed. We have artificial intelligence now. There's book writers. I can literally just tell the stories into the computer, thinking about doing that same project that I gave up on all those years ago. So yeah, I've thought about it. All right, everybody. I guess that's going to be about it. I do want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank our 350 viewers tonight on a Christmas night. I think that's really good, actually. I think we did really well with that tonight. And I do want to thank everybody for being here. We are live tonight in North Fort Myers at the Starship Studios, which is a small building in the back of my property here that I have built out the inside to be a television studio that looks more like a cross between NASA and a Starship. But the point is we're here every night at 9 p.m. and we are exploring everything from science to space weather to news and even politics if we must. But we do cover all these different things, and we try to provide it in a unique format, because I think that's what's so important on YouTube. There's so many channels, there's so many places for you guys to be, and I'm trying to provide something totally unique by providing something different, and that's a multi-screen format. And so I hope that works for you guys. I hope that you find it entertaining and that you find it to be helpful when you're in here and you're looking at whatever it is you're looking at. All right, so I'm going to leave you guys tonight with a little song about something that's really special to me, and that is FT8. We're going to leave you with a little song about FT8 tonight, and I hope you guys will join us back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. for the Sights and Sounds of Earth right here on Starship Adventures. My name's Ian. This is Starship Adventures, and we'll see you tomorrow night. 7 threes, everybody. 7 threes.
second late. Narrow 50 hertz, it's our favorite state. FT fever, catch it tonight. Working the world with a whisper of light. Low power, big distance, signal so true. If he's got the magic for me and you, from apartments to mountains, small antenna shine. Global DXing one decode at a time. Yeah, we're hooked on the mode, most popular game on the radio Signal report -20 dB, but you're hearing me clear across the sea. Japan in the morning, Brazil afternoon, Europe at sunset under the moon. No longer actions, just the essentials we trade. But every contact feels perfectly made. Objective reports in decibels bright, testing your antenna late in the night. FT fever burning so bright, turning dead bands into pure delight. Dedicated frequencies everyone knows, where the waterfall never stops its flow. DXEC was, we're checking them off, with 100 watts or just 5 watts off. Feel the rush when the decode turns green. Another new one on the screen. From the city, the suburbs, the countryside too. FT8 brings the world right in front of you. Eight-tone modulation, clever and clean. Packing the data like you've never seen. Free software running on a simple PC, making weak signal history. When propagation fades and the sunspots sleep, FT8 keeps the contacts rolling deep. FT fever, we're all in the game. Most popular mode and it's earning its fame. Quick QSOs flying, awards on the wall. FT8's bringing ham radio joy to us all. So sync up your clock, grab your mic or your key. Join the digital party on HF with me. FT forever, the future is here. Catch the fever and clean. Sometimes it's tragic, the band lies so still. You call and you call with all of your will. Antenna pointed at an empty blue sky, waiting for magic that passes you by. But then in a heartbeat, the S-meter slams. The pileup erupts and you're working in Japan. Magic band, 6 meters high, riding the waves across the sky. Magic band season, summer sweet call. When the world comes knocking, you can work them all. Unpredictable lover, cruel and so kind. The magic band lives in the ham radio mind. 6 meters forever, the band of surprise. Keep your rig warm and your ears to the skies.
Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow night. Have a good one out there. Sleep tight.